on India Today. On the Council of Ministers, Nitin Gadkari remains the Road and Transport Minister. The MOS for this particular ministry is Ajay Tanta and Harsh Malhotra. These are the details. We've been able to pick up more names expected to trickle in over the next few minutes. But the big news break that we're getting here on India Today, the first name and the first portfolio to be confirmed is that Nitin Gadkari has retained the Road Transport Ministry. He's been hailed, of course, for the kind of transformative work that he's done in this department. Extremely passionate also about infrastructure, about transformation and the building of roads. And we've seen that in his work, which is why it really doesn't come as a big surprise that Nitin Gadkari has been retained as the Minister of Road Transport and Highways. The other big news that's coming in is that Ajay Tanta and Harsh Malhotra are the Ministers of State. So you'll see two MOS for this particular ministry. Nitin Gadkari remains the Minister of Road Transport and Highways. First on India Today is Modi 3.0's cabinet list and the portfolio allocation. The big breaking news on the first name that's emerged as far as the portfolios are concerned is that Nitin Gadkari has retained the same ministry as was a Modi 2.0. Rahul Kaval is joining us with more details on this. Rahul, names trickling in right now. Nitin Gadkari retaining the Road Transport Ministry, not really a surprise considering the kind of work that he's done in this ministry.
Well, it's coming out in dribs and parts. It's not coming out in quite the seamless fashion that we're used to, that there's one list that comes out. Apparently, all the ministers had a document which was placed before them when the cabinet meeting happened that had their names on it and the lists of the ministers of state. So it's from there that we've gathered that Nitin Jairam Gadkari, the former BJP president who was Road Transport Minister in the previous government, has retained his portfolio. He's got Ajay Tanta from Uttarakhand, from the Almora seat, Dalit leader. He's come in as his Minister of State, and the East Delhi MP Harsh Malhotra is the second Minister of State. Now remember, Nitin Gadkari was wildly popular in his first stint as stints as the Transport Minister. So he's got this position once again, and that's the one piece of information that we have. It's not coming out in quite the way that the Modi government is typically used to. It comes out in one go, coming out, Akshita, in bits and parts, and that also in some ways very ironically symbolic of the new style of functioning and the new political reality. It's not going to be one-way traffic now like the Indian roads coming in different directions.
There was a lot of talk that with this being a coalition government, there'd be a whole lot of leaks. That most definitely isn't happening. News trickling in as and when the government wants it to come out. So the first name that's out is Nitin Gadkari. Rahul, I know that at this point we don't have more details, but do you see a lot more retentions of the same ministries, of leaders holding on to the same portfolio based on their performance?
You know, I had an opportunity, Akshita, yesterday at Rashtrapati Bhavan to speak to some of the senior ministers who've had important portfolios in the past, and they typically indicated that they'd been told that they would be carrying on with their past portfolios. So, and if you see, and I remember once a conversation with the then Chief Minister Narendra Modi, and I asked him about his, preferences, style of picking, changing. He typically prefers continuity. So that's his default chosen option. He prefers continuity. So that's what he'd like to do. However, this is a new mandate and the mandate warrants adjustments, and there are alliance partners, heavyweight alliance partners who've come in. Concessions need to be made for them as well. So there will be some changes. But the big story we are breaking, and from what I can see from the other channels, they don't seem to know this yet, is that Nitin Gadkari is confirmed as the Road Transport Minister and Ajay Tanta and Harsh Malhotra as his two MOSs. And we hope very soon to have more information for you, Akshita.
Okay, the other news, which has also been something everyone's been speculating and talking about, Rahul, is that the big ministries will be retained by the BJP. And while the portfolios are yet to be clear, I know there's a lot of, focus on the seating arrangement around the Prime Minister in that cabinet meet, because many believe that gives a hint of really who gets what. And if you look at that, it definitely looks like, the big ministries will be with the BJP.
Oh, absolutely. I think, the Prime Minister made very clear, even in the fracas with the NCP, an offer was made that we can give you a Minister of State with independent charge, to which Praful Patel and those around him said, well, I've been minister in the past, and therefore an MOS's position is not something that I'm too happy with. They said, well, okay, we'll try and adjust you in the future. So it's as simple as that. We'll do the best that we can, is the BJP's perspective. We'll make the offer that we can. If it suits you, fantastic. And if it doesn't, well, then, you can decide what you want to do. So it's not as if attempts won't be made at concession, but ultimately, as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned, the NCP of Ajit Pawar has only one MP. And therefore, an MOS was the maximum that they could have been offered. They didn't want that. And the Prime Minister and the BJP big gun said, well, okay, then so be it. So there will be some concessions, but the Prime Minister is signaling that, he is going to do what he thinks is right. And then if it works for the allies, fantastic. If it doesn't, then we'll have to see how that dynamic plays out. It'll be an interesting dynamic. It'll be a new dynamic. We haven't seen that in the past, Akshita, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Oh, very true. So on your screens is the news break that we've confirmed for you here on India Today. The first portfolio confirmation, Nitin Gadkari retaining the Road Transport Ministry. At this point, Rahul, and I want to just kind of go back to what you told us previously. Are we to then assume that now the union ministers have been told which portfolio they're going to be representing?
Yeah, so, from what we gather, the ministers had a brochure, a file, as it were, placed before them, which had the name of the cabinet minister, it had the names of the ministers of state, and that's how Nitin Gadkari received information that he was going to be the union minister for transport. And Ajay Tamta found out that he'd be minister of state, and so is Harsh Malhotra, a minister of state. Now, I asked ministers yesterday that you must know for sure what you're getting, it can't be that you don't know. They said, nahi bhai, hame nahi pata, how do we explain it to you? We don't at this moment know. Some had been given directional suggestions, but they didn't know for sure. So there is some curiosity, there is some interest, and it's also interesting how the dynamic is changing. It's not coming one way straight from the top. It's now dripping in from different directions. So I think that just makes things more exciting, Akshita.
Well, hopefully in the next few minutes, we'll have more names for our viewers, because as Rahul tells us now, the information is being sent across to these ministers that, hey, this is the portfolio you've been allocated. So we'll be reaching out to all of these ministers, try to get through to them and find out which ministry they've gotten. At this point, the confirmation we have is that Nitin Gadkari has retained the Road Transport and Highways Ministry. Many would have said that, we saw this coming, considering the spectacular performance that he's had as a minister. His report card has always been in the green, and he's extremely passionate also about infrastructure. Besides that, MOS Ajay Tamta and Harsh Malhotra is what we're picking up. Let me bring in Aishwarya also on this broadcast. Aishwarya, the first three names confirmed right now. Are you picking up any more details, any more names that have come to the fore?
Well, Akshita, unfortunately, at the moment, there's complete radio silence with regards to who's getting what. But yes, as Rahul also confirmed, this is India Today's news break, which has been confirmed that one ministry is being retained by Nitin Gadkari. With Narendra Modi, Akshita, let me tell you, and this is what people who have known him for years, they say that he does not like a lot of change. He likes things to be as it is, and especially if they are doing really well. So one example of that has now come to the fore, and this actually is, Akshita, also giving us a glimpse of what we should be expecting. There are high chances that some of the ministers, the top ministers, will retain the old ministries, and we will see the new ones being
given. Okay, Aishwarya, I'm just going to come back to you. I want to bring in right now Chetan Bhutani, our editor with Business Today TV, who confirmed this big news break for us. Chetan, first of all, congratulations. The only one to have gotten this right. The first name on the portfolio allocation has been broken by you. What are you picking up from your sources there in that cabinet meet? Any other names that you can get us? Chetan? All right, apologies. We'll reconnect with Chetan. Chetan's the one who's confirmed for us that, yes, Nitin Gadkari has retained the Road Transport and Highways Ministry, and we'll reconnect with him. Our Business Today team are also getting you some of those names of who's part of the cabinet, what portfolio they've been given. Aishwarya, back to you. My apologies for cutting you off earlier.
Well, Akshita, this is giving us a glimpse into what we should be expecting. It looks like we will see some of the old ministers retaining their ministries, and we will see some of the allies getting the new ministries. Those who have been sworn in for the first time, the new ministers will be getting some more ministries, because those who have known Prime Minister Narendra Modi for decades say that he likes things to be as it is. He likes things, and especially if they are going well, if you have done well, then he would want to retain you. So this is a glimpse that we are getting from what we can understand at the moment. We will see some of the other ministers also retaining some of the major ministries. Akshita.
Okay, so this is the big breaking news that's coming in right now here on India Today. We've told you first, Nitin Gadkari will remain the Road Transport and Highways Minister. Considering the kind of work that he's done, considering how he's driven by passion essentially when it comes to this particular ministry and this department, it seemed but obvious that Prime Minister Modi would choose him to continue as the Road Transport and Highways Minister. Chetan Bhutani of Business Today is with us on this broadcast. Chetan, good evening. What are you picking up from your sources? You were the one who, of course, told us and got us this big news break of Nitin Gadkari retaining his ministry.
Well, absolutely, Ankita. Ms. Tamta and other two people are definitely poised to be the MOS in Nitin Gadkari's Transport Bhavan, which is the Minister of Road Transport and Highways. 3 to 4 key pointers that my sources are telling me would be the key priority for Nitin Gadkari would be to reduce accidents on road by 50%, because India has also given this target and mandate to reduce 50% reduction in road accidents till 2030. Secondly, India is now planning to have a record construction of highways. Remember, the Bharatmala Pariyojana, which Nitin Gadkari spearheaded, is eventually getting more projects on board, and including aggressive highway construction. We have seen 3 to 4 world-class highway expressways being built by the Nitin Gadkari's NHAI and other related agencies as well. So 3 to 4, my sources are telling me, are the key priorities for Nitin Gadkari. I'm told that he'll be taking charge tomorrow morning. Timing is not yet confirmed, but yes, Nitin Gadkari has retained the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways along with 2 Ministers of State.
Okay, Chetan confirming for us that Mr. Gadkari then will go ahead and take charge tomorrow morning. So immediately hitting the ground running. He's, of course, been someone who's really driven infrastructural change in the country. So not really surprising that this is a decision that's been taken by Prime Minister Modi. Chetan, just quickly, any other names that you've been able to pick up on who's getting what?
Well, Ankita, there's not been much clarity. There's a lot of rumors on social media altogether that Mr. Rajnath Singh is actually retaining the Ministry of Defence. But yes, again, no clarity we are having on what all cabinet portfolios is the top 5 and the CCS would be heading. But yes, definitely we are having more details on what Ministry of Road Transport and Highways could look like. We have 2 MOS and we have the Cabinet Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari. As far as other ministries are concerned, a lot of rumors going around in social media and, of course, in the journalist local circle as to who can be the possible finance minister. The future of Nirmala Sitharaman, in fact, also hangs in fate. We also know that JP Nadda, Shivraj Singh Chauhan and other leaders would be given plum portfolios considering the hard work they have done for the BJP on the ground to retain as many seats as possible. But yes, the top creme de creme is definitely going to the BJP, and with Tamta and Harsh Malhotra getting MOS rank, Gadkari has now retained the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. This is what we have been confirmed by our sources.
All right, Chetan, thanks very much for getting us all of those details. Chetan Bhutani first telling us on India Today that Nitin Gadkari has retained the Road Transport and Highways Ministry. Aishwarya, coming back to you, it's expected that as far as, the senior leaders are concerned, we could see a lot of retentions, essentially, of some of the ministries that they represented in Modi 2.0.
Yes, Akshita, and there is a very valid reason for us to believe that it will happen, because if you see what work has been done by the major ministries, and this is something that the Prime Minister and the top BJP leaders have been speaking about again and again. If we speak about finance, then from the fragile 5, India has now moved to the top 5. And that is something that Prime Minister Narendra Modi now wants to make a change in. Now, from the 5th number, in the next 5 years, he wants to bring India to number 3. He wants our country to be in the top 3 economies of the world. So for that, there is a possibility Nirmala Sitharaman might continue as the finance minister. We have seen the kind of, giving back of sorts has been done by the external affairs minister, S. Jaishankar. Time and again, he's spoken about the fact that India is a strong country and the Western countries, the European countries, cannot dictate the way in which India should behave. We all saw how the war took place and there was a lot of pressure on India. So, making sure that the pressure is at bay and India thinks about itself first. So all those things were done by both both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the External Affairs Minister. We have also seen how crucial things were being done by the Home Ministry, Amit Shah in charge of that ministry. So all these things were spoken about by the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi would like to make sure that the pace at which things were working, the pace continues. So this will be the best thing that will happen for Modi 3.0, Modi Sarkar 3.0 would be to make sure that there is continuation, because that is what Prime Minister has been speaking about. Defence also one of the other areas where the country keeping at bay what's taking place with regards to China, what's happening with regards to Pakistan, that is also something that has been taken care of. So the top ministries, the CCS as we call them, will be retained by the Bharatiya Janata Party, because these will be the pillars on which the road ahead, the bridge ahead for the next 5 years will be built on. And
all right, I'm going to come right back to you, Aishwarya. Let's cut across to Harsh Malhotra, who's one from the national capital. He will be the one assisting Nitin Gadkari on the phone line with us. Many congratulations, Mr. Malhotra. MOS Transport and Highways, sir. Are you happy with your ministry? Looking forward to work with Mr. Gadkari?
Yeah, I am blessed that I am working under Adharniya Nitin Gadkari ji.
Harsh Malhotra ji, can you tell us when were you told and how were you told, sir?
Just a few minutes ago.
So,
by the media only.
Oh, you've actually found out from the media. We've told you that what your ministry is, sir.
I told you that I learned from media only.
But in the cabinet meet today, were anyone told what they were going to get?
Ministers.
Mr. Malhotra, in the cabinet meet today, were any of the leaders who were there told what cabinet portfolio they would be getting?
I was not there, madam.
No, would you know? So
that
you've
was
been
the meeting of cabinet, not the council of ministers. So
yes,
I was
sir,
not supposed to be there.
No, I'm not saying you were there, sir, but I'm saying were they told, or you're saying you have found out from the media itself?
I found it out just right now.
Have you got an official call yet?
I have not heard from any call else.
So no official call yet, sir. You're actually trusting us.
Pardon?
So no official call yet. You're saying you're actually trusting us with the news.
Maybe possible that some call have come and I could not attend. But right now I got news from you people only.
Well, congratulations then, Mr. Harsh Malhotra. Nitin Gadkari had already had the ministry, and he's really, held up his side of the bargain of doing a fantastic job where transport is concerned, infrastructure is concerned. How are you looking to contribute?
Definitely, I am very happy and blessed that I'll be working under the senior leadership like Adharniya Nitin Gadkari ji. So definitely, I'll work under his guidance.
All right, you'll work under his guidance. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Harsh Malhotra. That's so interesting in all of this, viewers, because Harsh Malhotra there, he is MOS Road Transport, and he actually learned that he is going to be assisting Nitin Gadkari, who has retained road transport ministry through the media. Still waiting for the official call to come in. Well, Harsh Malhotra has won from the national capital, one of the 7 seats where East is concerned, Delhi. On the other hand, it's Ajay Tamta as well, who is going to be the MOS Road Transport and Highways. And Nitin Gadkari retains his ministry, something that he's been lauded on of the fantastic infrastructural work that he has put in over the last 5 years. But now he has 2 MOS with him. Aishwarya is with us. Aishwarya, it's interesting because till now there has been no official word or any phone call that has been officially made. We had Harsh Malhotra right now and he's saying, I'm finding out from you.
Well, Preeti, this is the typical modus operandi of how the Bharatiya Janata Party functions, and particularly how the top leadership of the BJP functions. They will not even let you know. And see, Preeti, it's not as if, we have not been speaking with leaders. In fact, Rahul Kanwal also a couple of minutes back was speaking about the fact that he was there at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. He spoke with a couple of leaders, but all of them, were a little iffy. They did not know what to say. They all just spoke about the fact that the one direction that we have been given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is that we all need to march forward together for Modi Sarkar 3.0. And, it's been almost more than 25 hours. And We don't see any kind of speculation taking place. We don't see any kind of leak taking place. So this actually is giving us a glimpse of how tightly controlled the situation at the moment is. Apart from Nitin, we have not seen, any other name coming to the fore. But yes, a little bit of understanding of, how the government will function. But yes, a very, tightly guarded secret at the moment. Preeti.
All right, but word is coming in that it seems continuity is going to be favored where Modi's Cabinet 3.0 is concerned. But let's get you some of the inside details coming in. The Cabinet did meet under the Prime Minister today, and the Prime Minister said most of you will continue doing your work. That would mean that the Prime Minister has chosen continuity, which he has spoken of, told the Cabinet, आप में से ज़्यादातर लोग अपना काम करते रहेंगे, and the indication does seem to suggest with the likes of Nitin Gadkari continuing with the Ministry of Transport and of course attaching to him to MOS as well. Interesting to note, we're waiting in for the other top ministries in terms of, defense. Is it Rajnath Singh who's going to continue? Word comes in right now, viewers, that it is continuity that is going to be favored than any big change. Some were speculating that there might be, a change or a swapping of ministries between the top four, but that also seems to be not right now where it's concerned. It seems that continuity favored. Siddharth Zarabi, who's joining us. Siddharth, what's your bet? Finance Minister, is Nirmala Sitharaman going to hold on? Continuity.
Well, one thing we should be absolutely sure, never take bets in Modi Sarkar. But what's really quite clear at this stage, basis a couple of sources, including some documentary sources, that the highways and roads portfolio is going back to Nitin Gadkari ji, and two ministers of state also being added on. What this would imply, Preeti, and this is quite significant because there have been all sorts of rumors and expectations that continuity with a little bit of change. This is what we have been picking up. We've also been told by sources in the government that the message delivered at this first meeting of the cabinet was that work being done will continue by the people who are there in the cabinet, because remember, there are new inclusions, but a bulk of the cabinet is extending from Modi 2.0. So that's the message that was also delivered at the cabinet meeting, and therefore quite significant expectations that there will be largely continuity. But what we can tell our viewers, and that's been breaking on the network since quite some time now, is that roads, transport, highways, the builder of modern Indian highways, Nitin Gadkari, getting to continue to perform that task, and a very substantial task really, Preeti.
Well, you're right, there a substantial task at hand, but it's something that he's been lauded for the fantastic infrastructure development across the country. It's something that he needs to take forward because, Siddharth, there are many projects that still lie incomplete, but he's delivered on being the minister that he was.
Well, absolutely. And what we are also getting at this stage is that there is no briefing that is expected now of the Union Cabinet. Remember, day one saw the formality of the next installment being done, and that decision by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the PM Awas Yojana, massive expansion.
Right.
We are also being told at this stage that as far as some other details that we are getting, housing and urban affairs, Preeti, from these are you'll have to that the details that we are getting of possibly Manohar Lal Khattar, the former chief minister.
So there's a change there.
Manohar Lal Khattar, former chief minister, housing and urban affairs, with Tokan Sahu from Jharkhand as the minister of state, and there is another for power, Manohar Lal Khattar, with Shripad Yeso Nayak from Goa, the Minister of State. So, Preeti, details coming in.
No, come again. Siddharth, come again. where the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, which was earlier held by Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, does that now shift to ML Khattar? Because we are breaking ML Khattar gets power ministry. Okay.
Two ministries, in fact. If we were to go by that, Preeti, then two ministries. And even as we get you more details on that, it's very clear that as far as Mr. Gadkari coming back to his old portfolio, it's clear that some of the massive showpiece projects of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the ones that he himself is very keen on, for example, Bharatmala, and remember, Preeti, the new policy architecture for electric vehicles, including, for example, the entry of Tesla. You remember that prior to that, there were several expectations that Tesla will make a big investment in India. But it's clear at this stage that some more sources, and my colleague Chetan Bhutani from Business Today Television telling us that his sources are telling him that Rajnath Singh remains as the Minister of Defense, is likely to retain the Ministry of Defense. So at this stage, pending confirmation, pending finality, I must tell our viewers through you, Preeti, that for the former Chief Minister of Haryana, two very significant portfolios being spoken about, housing and urban affairs as well as power. Remember, R.K. Singh was the Minister of Power.
Yes.
And he's not there. And we also have two MOSs, including that inclusion from Jharkhand, from the Sahu community, Token Sahu from the state of Jharkhand. Preeti.
All right, very, very interesting. Till now, what we can tell our viewers is Nitin Gadkari retains the Transport Ministry, viewers. On the other hand, news just breaking on India Today. My colleague Siddharth Zarabi telling us that the former Chief Minister of Haryana, ML Khattar, has been given charge of not one but two ministries there. He is going to hold the Power Ministry as well as the Urban Development and Housing Ministry. The Urban Development Housing Ministry earlier was held by Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, and ML Khattar takes on from there. ML Khattar also been given the charge right now of the Power Ministry as well. Of course, there are MOS attached to him. Back to Siddharth Zarabi for more. Siddharth, more names coming in. All right, let's cut across to Rahul Kamal. Rahul, our news director, joining us with the latest. Over to you, Rahul.
You know, we are just hearing that Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the former heavyweight chief minister from Madhya Pradesh, is going to get the agriculture ministry portfolio. Jiten Ram Majhi, the former Bihar chief minister, head of the Hindustani Awam Morcha, is getting micro, small and medium enterprises. Shobha Karandlaje, who comes from Karnataka, is going to be the Minister of State for micro, small and medium enterprises. We're also being told that Rajnath Singh will retain defense. The Prime Minister apparently telling his union cabinet that most of you will continue to do what you've been doing in the past. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman likely to retain finance. You know, the interesting thing though for our viewers really to look at is that in past cabinet reshuffles or when cabinets were being sworn in, the information would come as one-way traffic. It would get put out as one consolidated list. Now, with all these images that are coming out, so a lot of the ministers, their teams putting out information portfolio by portfolio. So it's not as if it's all come out in one go. Manohar Lal Khattar has two portfolios, housing and urban affairs, and he's got power, where he's got Shripad Yasho Nayak from North Goa, the MP, as his Minister of State. So it's not coming out in one batch, it's all coming in dribs. What we know is that Jiten Ram Majhi is the Minister for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, something which is of particular interest to the state of Bihar. So that's the information that we're getting at this moment, Preeti, and it's coming not in one burst as one would imagine. So the fact that this is a coalition government also showing up in the manner in which these names have come out. Very, very different, frankly, from what we've seen in the past 10 years.
Well, you're right there, but Rahul, largely it does seem continuity has been favoured. If you look at the names, at least the top four, seemingly till now, we don't know who holds the Home Minister portfolio. But at least, with what we are getting in, it does seem continuity chosen over any massive changes.
But Preeti, when you'd asked me this question yesterday and we were at Rashtrapati Bhavan, I said exactly the same thing. The Prime Minister, from the time he was Chief Minister, prefers continuity. And that's just generally been his operating DNA. So he's unlikely to want to change that. I've also just heard that Shivraj Singh Chauhan, apart from getting agriculture and farmer welfare, he's got Panchayat and rural development. So he's got Panchayat and rural development. So he's got two ministries, agriculture, and it's been, what's been added to agriculture is farmer welfare, Kisan Kalyan, and he's got Panchayat and Grameen Vikas. So that's Panchayati affairs and rural development. So that's a heavyweight portfolio that's been given to Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Preeti.
Well, you're right. There are two plum portfolios. And interesting, Rahul, interesting choice. You have an ML Khattar who replaces Hardeep Singh Puri where urban development is concerned, but he's also given the charge of power. And you have the former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who's been given two portfolios, both awarded.
Oh, absolutely. So the former Haryana Chief Minister getting two important portfolios. The former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh getting two portfolios. So that's the breakup that we have. But again, what I find more fascinating than just what portfolios are being given to whom is that the operating style, the style of communication of this information, very different this time, Preeti, from what we've been used to seeing in the past. And I think that really is the biggest message from all the names that we've seen so far, Preeti.
Would you reckon is that the hallmark of coalition politics, Rahul? Because the last two times we heard, or even during the reshuffle, it was very different.
It's not just coalition politics. Most of these are BJP ministers. See, who has that image? It's the minister and his ecosystem that has the image. So the minister sent the photo to his ecosystem. The ecosystem's really happy and there's nothing wrong in it. They're putting it out and they're sharing that information, which is the way it used to be before Prime Minister Modi came into power. And it seems to be coming back to that, Preeti.
Well, as journalists, we should only be very happy because then we have more sources we can cultivate instead of one linear source. Siddharth Zarabi has more information. Go ahead, Siddharth.
Well, one of the more significant points to note, even as we get more names, Shivraj Singh Chauhan. So, Preeti, what's happening is agriculture, Panchayat, Grameen Vikas to be brought together. So very clearly a rationalization that many experts have also spoken about. Some more details what we are getting to pick up from sources is Shram और खेल मंत्री की भूमिका में होंगे मनसुख मंडाविया. I am reading that line straight off.
Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia.
Mansukh Mandavia and Labour also as a portfolio being mentioned against his name.
So he leaves health and now he comes in as a sports minister. Interesting switch there.
Ram Mohan Naidu, civil aviation.
Ram Mohan Naidu now replaces
aviation.
Jyotiraditya Scindia on civil aviation.
Civil aviation, and this again going to a crucial ally, obviously, Preeti.
Exactly.
But the big takeaway at this stage, apart from the names, is really bringing together those ministries with Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who has extensive track record of Madhya Pradesh and making it the grain bowl, especially the wheat bowl of India. And from that choice purely, I think the agriculture sector, now with a person who has deep hands-on multi-decade experience, and by clubbing in other ministries, what you will see that a very significant portion of our budgetary allocation that happens from the union budget is going to be more targeted, Preeti.
Well, it's interesting because, Rahul, I'll bring you in. Earlier where agriculture was concerned, there was Mr. Tomar from the very state. When he was replaced, it was Mr. Mundai, and now it is Shivraj Singh Chauhan. But, Rahul, I'd like to draw your attention to the new civil aviation minister, gone to an ally, and a 36-year-old Ram Mohan Naidu from the TDP takes over the reins as civil aviation minister.
I met him yesterday at Rashtrapati Bhavan. We exchanged pleasantries. He says, I'm the youngest minister in this unionist cabinet, Rahul Saab, and you see I'll have a very important role to play. So these guys are young, they're charged up, well-spoken, educated. I think the country will get to see a lot of them, and they've been waiting in the wings for this opportunity. Somebody who met Chandrababu Naidu 10 days ago and then met him again after the verdict said, boss, how life can change in just a matter of 10 days. 10 days ago when I met him, this gentleman was describing Chandrababu Naidu was a little unsure. He was hoping to win, but he couldn't be certain. And now now when he met him, his chest was puffed up, and yesterday at Rashtrapati Bhavan, the likes of Lakshmi Mittal, the likes of all the big businessmen who were there were all making a beeline from him. He wanted to go meet everyone. So body language changes, and a lot can change just in a matter of 10 days. What we're also hearing from our audience is, from our reporters, is that Chirag Paswan potentially gets the Ministry for Sports. So he gets the Ministry of Sports, and
There
you've
seems
got
to be-
so there's
Rahul,
there's a
there seems
clash
to be a
there.
discrepancy.
Correct.
Because Siddharth has said it's Mansukh Mandavia who's been given spots.
I think fair disclosure at
Right.
this stage, some of the names and portfolios that you have heard, viewers, are coming from photographs of a document that has names and pictures.
Rahul, this is fabulous. We are back to old school journalism where
because
these leaks are coming in from all over the place. It's not how it used to happen. Whatever way it is, we welcome it.
And we can say, Preeti,
Right.
for establishing that with our viewers who will hold our feet to the fire, otherwise, is that there are photographs, there are names of those portfolios, and what we understand from many of the reporters from the network, including Business Today, who are on the job,
Right.
is that these are documents that have come out after the meeting of the cabinet.
All right, so we're going to hold the news on who's going to be the sports minister.
Yeah.
Is it Chirag Paswan or is it Mansukh Mandavia? We're going to hold that. But Rahul, I want to bring you in. Dharmendra Pradhan, Rahul, holds on to HRD ministry. That means he's not going to be the chief minister of Odisha.
And I've just heard from sources in the Janata Dal Secular that Kumaraswamy has got major industries in steel, heavy industries in steel. That's what the JDS is telling us. Now, this is frankly, it's not about who gets what, Preeti. The story really is the manner in which this information is coming out. We're being told from the JDS. Okay, I've just also got information that Sarobinda Sonowal, the former Assam chief minister, he's got ports, shipping and waterways. And Shantanu Thakur, who's the Matua leader from West Bengal, important caste in the BJP's calculations in West Bengal. He's the Minister of State for Ports, Shipping and Waterways. If this is the way this government's going to function and information will come out, it'll be very different from what we've seen and really makes things very exciting. It also means that there could be the odd error, but essentially, Preeti, information coming from different sources, and that just makes it a lot of fun.
Well, you're right there. Rahul mentioned Sarbananda Sonowal as well as MOS Shantanu Thakur. So they both retain. Because Sarbananda Sonowal already is the Minister of Ports and Shipping and Waterways, and his MOS is already Shantanu Thakur. So both of them are the ones who are retaining. Yes, Rahul, go ahead.
I just received information from one of the ministers in the cabinet saying that Mansukh Mandavia is the one who's got spots. They're watching our coverage live, and thank you, sir, for that. Really appreciate this. They're saying Mansukh Mandavia, who comes from Gujarat, is seen as one of the blue-eyed boys of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's being groomed personally by the Prime Minister for a very long time. He is the one who will have spots. That's the information that we've just received. We're also being told that Dharmendra Pradhan, who was for a long time seen as a potential front-runner to be Chief Minister of Orissa, he's got education. It's a ministry he's dealt with in the past, and he'll be back in that ministry. Ram Mohan Naidu gets civil aviation, and Annapurna Devi gets women and child development. And it baffles me as I take our viewers through this list that all the information is coming more from the ministers and from the central source, whether it's the cabinet secretary or the Prime Minister's office. We still haven't heard in terms of what they're getting. We're also being told that Ravneet... Yeah, go on.
Right. No, go ahead. Annapurna Devi comes from Jharkhand, so interesting choice. I have an interest in WCD, but go ahead, Rahul.
Yeah, I was just saying that Mansukh Bhai Mandavia, Chirag Paswan would have liked to get spots. He's young, he kind of thinks he's very careful. The only one minister I saw during the campaign was being careful about what he was eating. We've also just received information that Ravneet Bittu, who lost in Ludhiana, he's got Minister of State for Minority Affairs. So the grandson of Beyan Singh was assassinated, imported into the BJP. He's been given the Minister of State for Minority Affairs.
But that's an interesting choice. But Siddharth Zarabi has the finance minister's name.
So we now have from multiple sources, including Karishma Asudani, who covers finance ministry for us, that she's being told that the top four are the same. and that also includes Finance Minister
That also
Nirmala
includes Home
Sitaraman.
Minister. That also includes the Minister of External Affairs.
I'm only taking names of what we can go out.
The top four are the same.
The top four are the same, with the particular name of Nirmala Sitaraman as the Finance Minister, basis what our reporter colleagues are telling us.
Rahul, it seems the top four are the same. So if we are looking at that, then we are looking at Amit Shah retaining Home. We are looking at Rajnath Singh retaining Defence. We are looking at Nirmala Sitaraman retaining Finance. And we are looking at Mr. Jai Shankar retaining MEA.
I have just received information, and we are breaking it at this moment, that Kiran Rijiju, the minister from Arunachal Pradesh, has got parliamentary affairs and minority affairs. Now that is interesting because parliamentary affairs is a very significant, very important portfolio, and that's now gone to Kiran Rijiju.
Right.
Kiran Rijiju, who used to be law minister, suffered a bit of a blow. This signals a rehabilitation of sorts, because at a time when you need to take the opposition parties along, you need to have a joint consensus in terms of how the parliamentary agenda will flow. We've just heard that Kiran Rijiju has been upgraded
and he replaces, Rahul, he replaces Prahlad Joshi. He replaces Prahlad Joshi as Parliament Minister. But breaking news, Siddharth.
My colleague Chetan Bhutani is now reporting that Hardeep Singh Puri is likely to retain the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. We have also another input of C.R. Patil as Jal Shakti. We also have more details.
C.R. Patil replaces
Jal Shakti was Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, whose name is now being mentioned, by the way, for culture and tourism.
So that's a demotion. Would you say?
Well, not really.
From
I think
Jal
tourism,
Shakti, because Jal Shakti is a pet project of the Prime Minister.
No, I think tourism, from a point of view of what it means for India in the next 5 years, is going to be a big one. There are some details of two MOSs, including the name of Suresh Gopi, who I hope stays in the Council of Ministers.
As what?
And Rao Indrajit Singh, both as Ministers of State for the very same culture and tourism beat.
Rao Indrajit Singh, who is basically a Yadav face, Ahirwal face for the Bharatiya Janata Party in Haryana, comes in as MOS Tourism. Suresh Gopi comes in as MOS Tourism. And you have Gajendra Shekhawat from Jodhpur, Rajasthan, who comes in as the Cabinet Ministry, where tourism is concerned.
No photographic evidence, Preeti, but Jagat Prakash Nadda, soon to be the outgoing president, unless a different decision is taken, may go back to his old haunt of health.
All right, okay. So, Rahul, Mr. Nadda might get health. His tenure as party president is over by the end of month. But Siddharth says, in all probability, his sources telling him...
Ashwini Vaishnav now being mentioned. Again, this is sources. Viewers, there's a difference. We are putting this information in two baskets, one with photographs, one without. One without photographs. Ashwini Vaishnav for Railways.
Retains Railways.
And Ministry of Information Broadcasting.
So Ashwini Vaishnav, which is important to us as well. Ministry of Broadcasting is Ashwini MIB Minister. Ashwini Vaishnav. Rahul, go over to you.
So we've just heard that Prahlad Joshi is likely to be the Minister for Food, Consumer Affairs and Renewable Energy. And again, it's Janata Dal secular sources who are telling us the portfolio that Kumaraswamy is getting. This, in the way that Prime Minister Modi has run the government, is really the story of the day. The story is, one story is that they're signaling continuity, that by and large, those who had whatever ministry they did, they're continuing with that. And the other big change is that information is coming from wherever the minister is letting the information go out. It's no longer one-way traffic, and that really is one of the big stories. As somebody who's tracked this government very closely over the past 10 years, that to me really is the big information that's coming out. Prahlad Joshi now confirmed as the new Minister for Food, Consumer Affairs, New and Renewable Energy.
Well, and as journalists, I would reckon, Siddharth, nothing better than, you know, what's happening right now. At least there's a flow of multiple information.
Well, I hope there are no changes just because there are leaks, but that's a tongue-in-cheek remark.
Finally, there are leaks in this government.
But there's one significant point, again, pending photographic confirmation, viewers. Jyotiraditya Scindia's name being mentioned for telecom, and Preeti, you will recall, this is... We will have to hark back to an era of UPA where he was Minister of State in telecom, and at that stage, I remember he had tried some initiatives.
All right, Rahul, go ahead.
We've just received information that Jyotiraditya Scindia will be the Minister for the Northeast, so the Department of the Northeast and Telecom. That's the ministry that Jyotiraditya Scindia will have. So it's a heavyweight ministry for him. Department of Northeast is something that the Prime Minister has been personally very committed to. So that's something that Jyotiraditya Scindia will get, and he also gets telecom. That's the information that we're getting,
Right.
with Ashwini Vaishnav likely to retain railways and potentially coming in as the new INB minister. Although we haven't, now remember, it's really down to the minister, his office, to confirm what they're getting, and it's not come from one central source. And that really, frankly, for anybody who's tracked this government, is really the big story that we're seeing. We're also hearing that JP Nadda has been assigned the health ministry. Now, remember, he's dealt with the health ministry in the past, so it's not something that he's new to. So far from being BJP president, he's now going to go back to being the health minister.
The health minister, who becomes the BJP president, because if you look at the list, everyone is now in the cabinet. But Siddharth, more to add?
I would really say that let's also take a look at, therefore, the priorities that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is trying to send out through these portfolio allocations. The bulk of the allocations of budgets will remain in line with people who have dealt with these subjects for several years now, and therefore the policy thrust is going to continue to be the same. There are certain changes, but I would say that they are more from the point of view of the fact that there are 6 odd cabinet posts more that have been allocated. There are powerful allies who also have to be taken along, and perhaps some further changes could happen later on. But right now, this is continuity, largely with some smattering of change here and there, Preeti.
And one of the changes is, of course, Jyotiraditya Scindia, who goes to Telecom and Northeast Ministry, while you have 36-year-old from the TDP, Ram Mohan Naidu, who comes in as the Civil Aviation Minister. JP Nadda, where health is concerned, he comes back. He had held the health portfolio, and now it's a full circle for him. He's back with the health ministry. His tenure as BJP party president gets over by the end of month. And Rahul, there will be speculations on who takes that space as well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the two big names that were being spoken about, one was Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the other was Manohar Lal Khattar. Both are now in the union cabinet, and therefore they will have to find somebody else. So that's going to be an interesting choice, who comes in as the new BJP president. But really the focus from the Prime, look at the big messaging that he's sending. Despite the numbers being lesser, he's signaling continuity. That continuity is something which is a thrust. We'll bash on in the way that we were in the last 5 years. That's the central message he's looking to send in the manner in which these portfolios has been allocated. It's not, if you change too many things, it's at some level a reflection that maybe you don't think things were good or they weren't going the way you wanted, and therefore you have to make mass changes. Right. When you largely take the same team, you're signaling to the world, you think that you have a crack team and you want them to go out and do what they're good at.
All right, C.R. Patil, Jal Shakti, replaces Gajendra Shekhawat, who's now been given culture and tourism. Interesting, important to note, Dharmendra Pradhan is now the Minister of Education. That would mean, Rahul, who comes in as Odisha Chief Minister?
You know, so I heard lots of names yesterday when it came to the list of Orissa CM probables. The interesting thing is that Dharmendra Pradhan, who probably would have wanted this job, he isn't getting this job. That seems quite clear because he's now in the ministry. Now, who out of them do you pick? It clearly will have to be one of the. It will clearly have to be one of the MLAs in the BJP in Orissa. They're the ones they'll have to pick. So it's going to be interesting in terms of who actually gets picked. There are a few wild cards. You know, there are these bureaucrats who work very closely with the Prime Minister, who come from the state of Orissa, the likes of Girish Murmu, who are also being mentioned of. But it's more likely going to be one of those who are part of the MLAs at this moment, and they're the ones who are most likely to pick. The names of Suresh Pujari, for example, doing the rounds in Orissa. Manmohan Samal again is the name that's doing the rounds in Orissa. So it'll be interesting to see who gets picked. They've really not gone with the most obvious choice. Like Shivraj Singh Chauhan would have been an obvious choice to be Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. He was denied that. So similarly, Dharmendra Pradhan would probably have been the obvious choice to be Chief Minister. He was denied that as well. So therefore, it'll be interesting to see who ultimately gets picked.
Well, you know, Siddharth, I want to bring you in. Once again, let's get back to the top 4, where at least what our sources are telling us, they're all being retained. A confirmation at least coming in on the Finance Minister. Nirmala Sitharaman will keep finance in all probability. Rajnath Singh in all probability now keeps defense. Home, we haven't spoken about home, but at least what is being indicated, Amit Shah will keep home. And MEA, it will be Mr. Jaishankar.
As far as Mr. Jaishankar is concerned, there were news reports that he's going to be at the G7 meeting along with the Prime Minister. But as far as Commerce and Industry Ministry is concerned, that's also a very large portfolio, especially on account of the fact that India hopes to conclude some major trade deals with various countries, including, for example, the United Kingdom. Mr. Piyush Goyal, who's just won handsomely from Mumbai, is now being said that he will retain the commerce and industry portfolio. And you asked about Amit Shah, the big four. We are being told by sources, in fact, more than one source now, that no change in the big four, and therefore it would follow that the Home Ministry and the Ministry of Cooperation, which was a newly carved out portfolio in the previous dispensation, stays with Mr. Shah.
All right, let's dip into reactions coming in. Some of them have only, found out from us, from the media, on what portfolios they are getting. So, MOS Transport, Ajay Tamta speaking to my colleague there. Listen in.
मेरे लोकसभा क्षेत्र की जनता का, जिन्होंने मुझे सांसद बना के अपने क्षेत्र के लिए काम करने का अवसर दिया था। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री और माननीय भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने मुझे सरकार में काम करने के लिए भी अपना आशीर्वाद दिया है, और अभी मुझे जो जिम्मेदारी मिलेगी, और चूंकि मुझे लगभग सभी कामों का करने का अनुभव रहा है, और मेरी जानकारी में जैसा आया है कि रोड एंड ट्रांसपोर्ट है, तो हम लोग तो बड़े सौभाग्यशाली हैं कि देश में जो ऐतिहासिक परिवर्तन अगर कहीं हुए हैं तो उत्तराखंड के अंदर ही हुए हैं, और ऑल वेदर रोड अगर कहीं आती है तो उत्तराखंड के अंदर आई है। भारतमाला भी आई है तो वो उत्तराखंड के अंदर आई है और पूरे देश भर के अंदर चल रही है। तो ये अपने आप में बड़ा सौभाग्यवान है, क्योंकि रोड और जो ट्रांसपोर्ट है वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट भी है, क्योंकि जो मनुष्य की आम जनजीवन की सुविधाओं के रूप में वो यात्रा है।
All right. So Piyush Goyal retains the Commerce Ministry. Piyush Goyal just entering Lok Sabha, nominated from Mumbai North, and now will keep his ministry. Important, especially for the likes of us. Ashwini Vaishnav, while he retains railways, is now going to be the new I&B minister. The more news coming in right now is also Muralidhar Mohar, in all probability, is going to be the MOS to Mohan Naidu, where civil aviation is concerned. Interesting choices, small changes, small tweaking here and there. But Rahul, if you have to look at it, the big ticket portfolios, I would reckon the biggest gainers in all of this is somebody like a Shivraj Singh Chauhan and an ML Khattar.
Oh, absolutely. They've been given important portfolios. We've just heard that Minister Piyush Goyal, who's now the MP from North Mumbai, he'll get, he'll get commerce and industry. Remember, there are lots of trade deals which are half negotiated, on the verge or heading towards closure, heading towards the last lap. So he gets the opportunity to go out and build on the assets that he's developed, the relationships that he's built globally, and hopefully try and close some of these deals. I think that really is the message the Prime Minister is also seeking to send. He's not saying, oh my God, what's this verdict? People don't like us, let's change the whole team. He's not looking at it like that. He says, okay, by and large, we've done a great job. We've been voted back with 240 seats. We now need to build on what we've got, which is essentially why, if you see, continuity, and that's the one word I've been emphasizing over the last 48 hours in this entire conversation. Continuity is really what the Prime Minister's thrust area has been.
But we've practically heard a lot of the big ticket portfolios. IT is one which is left, Siddharth.
Very, very important point. And so far, no leaks, no information, I must tell our viewers. But why is IT very important? If you recall, once the TDP was in pole position, the first report suggested that TDP wanted IT. The founder of Cyberabad, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, has a record as being one of the earliest chief ministers to talk about IT as a job creation tool, also for economic development. We don't know what has happened in that regard. There is, of course, one big name, the richest candidate in the Lok Sabha, Preeti, who's also come from that party. So, MIT is big one, and the bigger challenge in that ministry will be, unlike what Mr. Naidu had dealt with IT ministers during his era then, is the fact that we have global social media majors, and for the last 10 years, the Modi government has, frankly, not been able to come up with a cohesive strategy of dealing with them. We've had various drafts of law, and now that Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar is not there, I think whoever comes in will have to do a lot of reading because this is now going to be one of the most sensitive ministries. I would call it the most sensitive, frankly, beyond the big 5 or 6 because...
All right, Rahul has some more information, Siddharth. Rahul, over to you.
We've just heard that Bhupender Yadav, who again was one of the names mentioned as a possible future BJP president at some time, he's got environment. Remember, he's because of the Paris climate change dialogue and various other conversations that have been happening, he's been involved very heavily with climate change. He's got climate again. So he's also built, remember, what's the message here? These are leaders who've built some, who've built some experience and expertise over the years in different fields. They're being given the opportunity to continue what they were doing, which is why Bhupender Yadav has been given Paryavaran, the Ministry of Environment, and he gets to be Environment Minister once again.
Well, he retains the Ministry of Environment. He's one from Alwar, Rajasthan, coming into the Lok Sabha there. But interesting, what you were talking about, Siddharth, that where IT is concerned, Ashwini Vaishnav has been moved. Rajiv Chandrasekhar has been cut. We're waiting.
We've just heard that Nirmala Sitharaman is also Minister for Corporate Affairs. So she's Finance Minister and Minister for Corporate Affairs. So she
have the
retains
list
both.
in chronological order.
Okay,
Rahul, I'm cutting you off.
Rahul, he has the list in the chronology order.
Rajnath Singh, Minister of Defence. Shri Amit Shah, Minister of Home Affairs and Minister of Cooperation. Shri Nitin,
Slow down.
Shri Nitin Jairam Gadkari. And I'm going by the sequence as has been mentioned here. Minister of Road Transport and Highways. Shri Jagat Prakash Nadda, fourth on the list. A list provided by my colleague Chetan Bhutani, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, and the Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Number 5 on the list, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Minister of Agriculture, Farmers Welfare and Rural Development. Number 6 on the list, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of Finance and Minister of Corporate Affairs. Number 7, Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs. Viewers, I'm now skipping to, there are a couple of names missing. Minister of Steel, but I don't have that name here. But number 10 on that list with me right now is Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, Minister of Education, Shri Jitan Ram Manji, Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Shri Rajiv Ranjan Singh Urf Lallan Singh, Minister of Panchayati Raj,
JDU.
Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Shri Sarbanand Sonowal, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Dr. Virendra Kumar, Social Justice and Empowerment, Shri Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu, Minister of Civil Aviation, Shri Prahlad Joshi, Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food, Public Distribution. I have more names here.
So Jewel Oram gets Minister for Tribal Affairs, Giriraj Singh gets Minister of Textiles, Ashwini Vaishnav listed number 20 on that list gets Minister of Railways, Minister of Information Broadcasting, Minister of Electronics and Information Technology. Then you've got Jyotiraditya Scindia. So he gets Minister of Electronics.
This is very, very important.
Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Jyotiraditya Scindia, then comes in as Minister of Communications.
Food processing industries. Food processing, because there was that bit of a back and forth. And
so
Mansukh
Hardeep Puri
Mandavia
gets Minister of Petroleum.
And Mansukh Mandavia, Labour, Employment, Youth Affairs and Sports.
Labour, Employment, Youth Affairs and Sports.
Two ministries. G. Krishan Reddy, Coal and Ministry of Mines. So G. Kishan Reddy, who started off as MOS Home and then was in tourism, now gets coal and mines. Chirag Paswan, food processing. C.R. Patil, Minister of Jal Shakti. Ministers of State, independent charge. Preeti, you had asked Rao Inderjeet Singh, MOS
Culture and
of
tourism.
Statistics and Program Implementation, of Planning and Ministry of Culture. So Jitendra Singh, MOS in charge of Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, PMO and the all-important Ministry of Personnel. That is also the detail. And now the formal communique has come. So very clearly...
That's an important thing there, that finally the Rashtrapati Bhavan has put out the official communication long after everybody else had already given out their own individual information. Arjun Ram Meghwal is going to be Minister of State Independent Charge in the Ministry of Law and Justice. So he continues in the Law and Justice Ministry, apart from Minister of State in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. Now remember, that's why Kiran Rijiju gets that all-important portfolio of being Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. Jadhav Pratap Rao Ganpat Rao gets to be Minister of State, independent charge of the Ministry of Ayush, and in the Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Jayant Chaudhary is Minister of State, independent charge in the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Education. So that's the full list that we've got. Rajnath Singh coming in at number 1, continuing to be Defence Minister. Amit Shah coming in at number 2, continuing to be Home Minister and Minister for Corporation. Nitin Gadkari coming in at number 3, continuing as the Minister for Highways and Road Transport. And then Jagat Nadda becoming the new Minister for Health and Family Welfare, and also the Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers. So JP Nadda is Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers and Minister for Health and Family Welfare. And then Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Rural Development, Ministry of Agriculture and Welfare. So number 6 is the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who's got Finance Ministry and again the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Then there's Jaishankar, who gets to stay on.
Rahul, this is interesting from a political point of view. Jitin Prasada is now Minister of State for Commerce and Industry. He also gets MOS in MIT, in Electronics and IT. Sripad Yeso Nayak, MOS Power and Renewable Energy. Pankaj Chaudhary, MOS in Finance, he was already there. Krishan Pal, Minister of State under Mr. Shah, in Ministry of Cooperation. Ramdas Athawale in Social Justice and Empowerment. These are just MOS. Please take note. Ramnath Thakur, MOS Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Nityanand Rai, MOS in Home Affairs. Anupriya Patel, MOS in Health, Family Welfare and Chemicals and Fertilizers. V. Somanna, MOS in Jal Shakti and Railways. Chandrasekhar Pemmasani, MOS in Ministry of Rural Development and Communications. Professor S.P. Singh Baghel, Fisheries, Animal Husbandry, Dairying, Panchayati Raj. Shobha Karandje, she is in MSME and Labour and Employment. Kirtivardhan Singh, Environment, Forest, Climate Change, External Affairs. So Kirtivardhan Singh gets into External Affairs, MOS pretty high profile. B.L. Verma, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Preeti.
Well, interesting. Rahul, if you are looking at it now in totality, what are the biggest takeaways that you see in all of this?
One, continuity. 2, making space for allies, ensuring that they have reasonably significant portfolios, giving significant portfolios also to former chief ministers, the likes of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the likes of Manohar Lal Khattar, because they've been brought into the cabinet. Space has been created for them. So I think that's the broad message. And the Prime Minister is saying, Sab changa si. I think that's really the broad message he's trying to send.
Whoever thought they were, you're right there. Whoever thought there were going to be these massive changes that will take place because there's coalition pressure, that's not happening. What we are looking at is practically continuity from what was the last cabinet. There is going to be a reshuffle. But Rahul, to bring you back into this conversation, the big ticket, it's interesting because the likes of Chirag Paswan, do you reckon he'd be happy with food processing?
Sorry, can you just repeat that? One of my colleagues just asked me something in the newsroom and I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Rahul, the likes, allies have been accommodated, but the likes of, say, a Chirag Paswan, would he be happy with maybe a food processing minister?
Given where he comes from, and when I spoke to Chirag Paswan at length after his victory, he says he wants to spend a lot of time in the state. Remember, there are elections in 2025 in Bihar, and he thinks that strength really comes from expanding his footprint in the state. As Nitish Kumar's long, illustrious political career comes towards the end, there is space for somebody to tap into and to become the next big thing in Bihar politics. You've got Tejasvi Yadav, who's currently leading the stakes. Chirag Paswan has established himself. There is quite a current in his rallies. You can see that very clearly when you travel with him, see the response that he gets. Some of the BJP leaders haven't been able to acquire the same profile. The BJP trying to build up Samrat Chaudhary at this moment, but in terms of mass connect, he doesn't have the same profile that Tejasvi Yadav does. Prashant Kishore doing his own number. He's now said on the 2nd of October, he'll turn Jan Swaraj into a political party and register it. So there are different people trying. So Chirag Paswan does want to spend a lot of his time on Bihar, and apart from that, his mother, who was there on the sidelines of the conversation, saying, "Iski shadi bhi karani hai, we've had a rough few years," and the mother very keen on getting. And the moment she said that, any boy who's roughly in that age, blushing hugely, and Chirag wanting to disappear into thin air just at that moment. But the mom also has one other KRA on her list, which is to get her young son married.
Siddharth, to bring you in, What, according to you, or who, according to you, have been the biggest gainers?
Ashwini
And who-
Vaishnav, without doubt.
I agree, Ashwini Vaishnav.
Without
doubt, yes.
Look at the railways. The
INB, railways.
Minus the road transport portfolio and your social welfare spending, the biggest critical growth-oriented ministry is the Railways Ministry. You take mighty for all the global reasons that I feel are significant, and you can probably discuss that for 1 hour, Preeti. And more importantly, information and broadcasting.
And this is at a time, Siddharth, when the JDU has been wanting the railway ministry and they've lobbied for it very openly.
And for the 10 years of I&B, it's been a point where there's been some amount of friction. There's been back and forth. There's been rethinking within government for policy making. And one thing is very clear. Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav manages to push in some of the most difficult things in a very, very soft and calibrated manner. We have seen him handle telecom without a whiff of any controversy. We have seen the massive expansion in the railways of the Vande Bharat program. Additional capacity is being created. Although there are people who say that the railways has become more expensive, but the railways is not going to go bankrupt anytime soon. I think one of the biggest contributions to the national economy and to Bharat by the 10 years of Modi government so far have been that the railways has not been bankrupted. And on that note, Preeti, all railway stocks have been rallying since day one. God forbid had it gone to some other party, I promise you they would have dropped like 9 pins.
You know, Rahul, would you want to weigh in on that? Keeping railway ministers, one of the biggest gainers, as well as INB, he replaces Anurag Thakur. Do you see now a very different relationship where at least the media is concerned and the INB ministry?
The biggest gainer is journalism. Because you've got now free flow of information where ministers feel empowered to send messages themselves. I got a few when their names weren't playing on our screen saying I've got this ministry, I've got this ministry, usko bhi chala do. I don't think any time in the last 10 years this would have happened. So that's one big change, and more power to everyone, I say, as far as free flow of information is concerned. And remember, that's really the big change. Earlier, they would have all been very scared of speaking. Yesterday in the morning from 8 a.m., the moment they got a call, they were doing interviews with our journalists wanting to speak. In several of these cases, the confirmations actually came much earlier from the ministers, their parties, rather than from one central source in the central cabinet. And therefore, that really is, frankly, the biggest change. And I don't know whether that will continue, because a few days later, the dust could settle and things could be back as normal, or this could be the new normal. That, I think, will really define how things go if everyone feels empowered. See, what happens is when somebody is sitting on 303 seats, everybody else just shuts up and keeps quiet. The moment the government is at 240, the others feel slightly more empowered than they would have been. It doesn't mean it's free for all. It's not like everybody just gets up and gets to say whatever they want, but they feel that they can breathe more easy, they can say what they want. And I think, frankly, that really is the biggest change. Apart from that, the fact that they've accommodated Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Manohar Lal Khattar and given them plum portfolios, I think that's really the one big change.
You know, accommodating allies, Rahul, you want to, talk about that a bit, because TDP has managed to get one of the most plum portfolios where civil aviation is concerned. You have JDS who's done decently, but would you think JDU, where Lalan Singh getting just animal husbandry, would be happy because they were vying for the railway ministry, which Ashwini Vaishnav has kept?
You know, but remember, the Prime Minister's just had a little bit of his stock hit, right? He's not completely wobbly at this moment. He understands the importance of the railway ministry, understands the importance of what Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has been trying to do. You've got bullet train corridors that are being built. In the budget, they announced they want to expand it to other parts of the country. They're trying to ensure that the track upgradation is given great emphasis. So this really is at the core of what the Prime Minister is trying to get done. So wherever he thinks he really has a very important reform agenda, he's trying to keep that with people he trusts, who he thinks can go out and get the job done. So it accommodates allies to the extent that is required, but doesn't become unwieldy, Preeti.
All right, accommodate allies, continuity over change. That has been picked where Prime Minister Modi is concerned. But Siddharth, I want to bring you in. Last few questions. We talked about the biggest gainers. Now I'm going to put you on the mat who have been the biggest losers.
I don't think that is the impression that one gathers from here. I just want to tell you one more quick thing. The Communications and IT Ministry, remember UPA days, 2G scam.
Siddharth been obsessing about the IT ministry.
The fact that they have split it now.
Right.
The fact that they have split it now, and Mr. Scindia is not a newcomer here. There's one more interesting point. Along with communications, he has been given the Northeast the donor ministry, so-called. One of the biggest programs of the communication ministry for years has been a Northeastern telecom network expansion. It's gone in circles. So this is one of the key things that I pick up. One of the other messages I would say is Jal Shakti being given to a political heavyweight, Preeti C.R. Patil. So I think a new impetus being...
Jal Shakti is one of the Prime Minister's pet projects, Har Ghar Nal.
And I'll go out on a limb as far as the TDP, and I hope no TDP contacts of mine get upset. The Civil Aviation Ministry is not the Civil Aviation Ministry that it used to be while Air India was there. The Civil Aviation Ministry's work is actually far more important is DGCA. Remember that thing that's going viral, 2 planes on the same runway? That's DGCA. And the role of the Civil Aviation Ministry in controlling airfares is also not there. So I guess the TDP has got what looks like high profile, but is really not that.
All right, L. Murugan also, MOS, INB, Parliamentary Affairs. We're going to keep the spotlight on Prime Minister Modi's spanking new cabinet. What we can tell you, the top 4 remain the same. A continuity over change that has been picked, and few changes that have been made. And Rahul Kamal on the other side is going to take it further. Thank you for watching.
An unparalleled election coverage with the team that wins every election. From unmatched on-ground reporting to real-time poll updates. Stay tuned to the Maximum channel for the maximum coverage.
Platinum Partner. Signature Finest Silver Elaichi, a premium product from Dilbag. Mankind Pharma, serving life. Intelligence meets art with the all-new Motorola Edge 50 Pro. Higher heavy-duty air conditioners. Gold Partner, Dulux Paints. Silver Partner, Supreme Total Piping Solution.
विक्रम आ तो गए, जाओगे कैसे?
बड़े आराम से।
देखिए ये देश
हेलो, मैं आ रहा हूँ और हाँ, भगा कर ले जाऊंगा। सिक्योरिटी! भैया, भाग गए, पकड़ो उनको। हेलो, बोला था ना, भगा कर ले जाऊंगा। विक्रम!
एक हिंट तो देते?
हिंट?
बड़े आराम से।
सुप्रीम के 9000 से भी ज्यादा प्लम्बिंग एंड ड्रेनेज प्रोडक्ट्स और वाटर टैंक्स बने हैं क्वालिटी रॉ मटेरियल्स एंड इनोवेटिव डिजाइन से। सुप्रीम टोटल पाइपिंग सॉल्यूशन, जीवन भर का साथ।
No faking, no fuzzy, no falsehoods. Unbought, unfake live viewership.